Interesting show here on tap for all of y'all. This is the Heat Report by Chat Sports. I am your host, Nic Rohloff. I believe the Miami Heat got screwed by the NBA. We're going to talk about what that means and what that looks like. Plus, Coby White, potentially a trade target for Miami. I'm skeptical, but one publication suggested a trade idea. Let's get into the news around the Heat and how the NBA screwed them. Well, it all has to do with their schedule. After doing some more research on the Heat's 2025-26 schedule, I realized that the Heat have to travel the fourth most miles in the NBA this season. When you look at the list of teams that have to travel the most, this is where things come into form. Obviously, you're going to see a lot of West Coast teams on here when they have to travel to the East Coast. But Miami, an East Coast team, and one of the rare teams in the Eastern Conference. Actually, if you can just quickly count here, there are only two teams in the entire Eastern Conference that land in the top 10. Ironically, both from the state of Florida. The Magic lead the league in miles traveled, with Miami coming in fourth. And is this the biggest deal when it comes to their schedule in this season? No, I'm not going to act like it's a make or break. But over the course of an 82-game season, the amount of miles you travel does end up catching up to you, whether it is your sleep or just overall routine. Over the course of a full NBA season, which is long and grueling, that will absolutely catch up to you. More to come here in a second, but I just want to remind people that we do have a Coby White trade discussion coming up in a bit, so stay tuned for that. But when getting back to the schedule, I don't think the NBA did any favors for the Miami Heat when it comes to their season. You look at them having the fourth most travel miles this season, but they also have the second most back-to-back games they have to play this year. When we talked about the Heat schedule about 2-3 weeks ago, we told y'all that Miami has 15 back-to-back games. Only 5 teams have more of those instances than Miami, that being the Sixers, Nuggets, Suns, Hornets, and Wizards. Miami comes in with a group of 7 teams that have to play 15 back-to-back games, including Golden State, the Clippers, Toronto, Portland, New Orleans, and Utah. But one thing that is certainly interesting about looking at the Heat scheduling in terms of miles traveled and back-to-back games, one, they will certainly be tested. The Miami Heat in this roster and their mental fortitude and toughness will be absolutely put on display. How will you handle those amount of back-to-back games? How will you handle the travel throughout the course of the season? But it also is a lack of disrespect, or lack of respect, I should say, from the NBA. Because if you look at those 12 teams that we showed that have the 2 most highest back-to-back games, you don't see a lot of elite teams on there. You don't see the Thunder. You don't see the Celtics. You don't see the Lakers. Like the best teams in the NBA, or the darlings of the NBA, don't play as many back-to-back games as you see teams like Miami, Charlotte, Washington, Phoenix, Utah having to play. So Miami is currently not being thought of highly from the NBA, and it leads to them having a tough test this upcoming season. Moving on here in a second, but did the Heat get screwed by the NBA? I think they kind of did. Type Y for yes, type N for no. I don't think it makes or breaks the season for the Heat, but it certainly makes it slightly more difficult. I also want to quickly mention that the first 10 games for the Heat are an absolute gauntlet. They play 3 playoff teams right out of the gate in Orlando, Memphis, and the Knicks. Then they have a home game against the Hornets before going out on a 4-game road trip against a team that's projected to increase in the Spurs, then 2 LA teams, Lakers, Clippers, and then Nuggets before finishing with the Hornets and Blazers. Like, that first 10-game stretch is absolutely brutal, and the question that I'm just going to be asking myself is that can Miami weather that storm? There are obviously going to be tough stretches in a season and lulls in the season. It is just unfortunate that Miami gets a tough stretch in the beginning parts of the year. And I know if I tell people that going 5-5 would be a good thing for this Heat team, they might scoff at that because it's a 500 record. But when you do have to play out of those first 10 games, 6 or 7 playoff teams, including about 6 tough games on the road, yeah, I would take a 5-5 start to the season and feel good about that moving forward into maybe an easier part of the schedule later on in the year. Let's move over from schedule talk to that Coby White trade target kind of idea that we threw out there. And some of you might be asking where that is coming from. Well, Bleacher Report proposed a trade for every team's best NBA asset. Miami's was Khalil Ware. We might do a video on that here in a second. But point is, Chicago's best asset was labeled as Coby White, and they had White heading to the Heat in a potential trade. And before we show the trade, I want to talk about Coby White as a player. I don't think he is a good fit for the Miami Heat. This is a scoring guard, yes, that can handle a little bit, but I have a lot of questions when it comes to his ability to fit inside this current Heat regime. He has had back-to-back strong seasons, playing in 74 games and 79 games, respectively. He's a consistent 37-38% three-point shooter and 44% shooter from the field. And over the last couple of seasons, he has certainly had an uptick in his offensive creation, averaging about 19 and 20 points per game the last 2 seasons and dishing out 5 assists a night. So he has certainly improved his ability to score the basketball and create for others, including a wildly strong 2.5 close of the season where he was the Eastern Conference Player of the Month, I believe, in March. He was playing absolutely phenomenal. Now, the issue that I have with Coby White is that I still find him incredibly inconsistent, because you watched him play Miami in the play-in game where the Heat went on the road in Chicago and drubbed them. Coby White was non-existent in that game, blanketed by Davion Mitchell and that Heat defense, to where I don't think he actually made a shot until the fourth quarter and shot incredibly inefficient from the field. He also does not defend. So I am not that high on adding a player that, in my opinion, is inconsistent offensively and is not a strong point on the defensive end of the floor next to a player like Tyler Hero, who has a lot of questions. And let's just make this clear. Tyler Hero is miles better than Coby White. So you are not trading Tyler Hero for Coby White. You would rather have Tyler. And there just doesn't make a lot of sense for me to add White to this current Heat core. More to come here on Coby White, but grab this Heat hoodie as the season is vastly approaching. 56% off. $53 is what it costs now, usually $120. Go to chatsports.com/heat sale. Link in the description and comments of today's video. Take advantage of the sale while it lasts. Another reason, despite his play and fit, which is a question mark for me, that I would be out on a Coby White trade is his contract. He's got 1 year left on his deal at $12.8 million before becoming an unrestricted free agent next offseason. And you might say, well, maybe it's a good expiring deal for Miami, but White is not going to be acquired for nothing. You would have to offer something of value, and offering something of value for an expiring makes no sense to me, considering you also have to think about extending Tyler Hero. You're not probably going to extend both Coby White and Tyler Hero, so I don't really understand where this comes from. And to make it a full circle, just absolutely rejection from yours truly, is that this was the Bleacher Report trade idea. No picks involved, but Miami gives up Nikola Jovic and Simone Fontecchio for the services of Coby White. And here is my quick thoughts on that. Absolutely effing not. I don't love the fit of Coby White, and Bleacher Report wants me to offer Nikola Jovic? Hell no. Is Coby White a better player than Nikola Jovic currently? Yes. But I will take Jovic long term because I think that he is finally turning a corner, and you just can't teach his IQ, shot playmaking ability, as well as shooting off the catch at the size that he currently holds. Plus, I would rather pay Jovic long-term than Coby White. How about that? Because he would be cheaper as well. And this just comes into the conversation of Jovic FC. We are up right now, man. Jovic is hooping at Eurobasket. Eric Spoelstra speaking and singing his praises. And I believe there is a legit chance he could potentially start for this Heat team this year if they want to create a more well-balanced lineup and have Khalil Ware come off the bench, and then Jovic start in the front court alongside Bam and Wiggins. Am I projecting that? No, but I do think that is a real possibility. Jovic is going to have a massive fourth year, whether it's being a starter, sixth, or seventh man off the bench. I am very, very excited for Jovic, and I am not trading him for a player of Coby White's caliber. That'll do it for today's show. Appreciate everybody for watching this edition of the Heat Report. Continue to subscribe for daily Heat content, but also follow me over on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff because I'm talking Heat basketball every single day. And if the Heat do end up making a move at any point, we'll have you with the news first over there.